Welcome to lecture 4 of week 2 of the course Simulation of Modern Power Systems, in which we will continue the discussion on Newton-Raphson technique, specifically for the case when voltage phasors of buses are represented in polar coordinates. The last discussion we have talked about or discussed about the mathematics involved in the Newton-Raphson method for voltages in polar coordinates, and we have missed or we have not discussed how PV to PQ switchings can be checked in Newton-Raphson update equation, which we would do in this discussion. Before I go into the handling Q limits part or PV to PQ switching part, this next few slides are a summary of what we have discussed. We take a n-bus power network where buses are numbered from 1 to n, and for sake of convenience we choose bus 1 to be the slack bus whose voltage value is specified, and for the sake of convenience we choose 0 as the angle reference for all other voltage phase angles. We have n-1 number of P equations, we have nd number of Q equations where nd is the number of PQ buses. The corresponding Pi and Qi injection expressions are in terms of the unknown voltages and phase angles. The corresponding generations and demands as and when required, they have obtained from cost economics or from the load forecasting exercises respectively. If this is my f of x, which is a multifunction, multi-polynomial function, the corresponding x are the remaining voltage phase angles, which are n-1 in number, and associated nd number of voltage magnitudes, wherein if we check the number of unknowns and the number of equations available, they are mathematically consistent to each other. Like in Gauss-Seidel method, we start with the initial choice of voltages to be flat start voltages as and when required. For PQ buses, it is convenient to choose 1 at an angle 0 as a good initial choice for voltages, whereas for other generator buses, wherever phase angles are not known, those are chosen as 0, again for the sake of convenience perspective. And this being the iterative update equation of x in Newton-Raphson update equation, where J is the Jacobian matrix and has 4 distinct submatrices. We can use these expressions to find all updates of x in every iteration, unlike in Gauss-Seidel recursion, where voltage phasors or voltage of every bus gets updated as and when available. Unlike, on the other hand, in Newton-Raphson update or Newton-Raphson equation, all bus voltages are getting updated in one single go because of this iterative update equation. The elements of these 4 submatrices, JP theta, JPV, JQ theta, JQV, they are just shown here for the sake of summary. JP theta is a square matrix of n-1 cross n-1 dimension, with elements of these matrices being the off diagonal as well as the diagonal terms as shown over here. These are obtained directly from this expression of P and Q as explained earlier. And similarly, we have JPV matrix, which is not a square matrix. Then we have JQ theta, which is again not a square matrix. And lastly, we have JQV, which is a square matrix. Please spend some time on understanding how these matrix elements have been obtained. I'm sure you will be able to cross-check and match the expressions that I have shown here with respect to your own calculations based on the expressions of P and Q that you obtain. In case there is a difficulty in getting these equations checked or matched, please have patience. Follow through the rest of the discussion, wherein at the end I'll explain a numeric example of how Newton-Raphson update equations are actually done for a sample 3-bus network, and with that discussion it would become more clear as to how these elements can be obtained for different submatrices of Jacobian. The important part of Jacobian or Newton-Raphson update equation is that in every iteration, this Jacobian matrix, it needs to be evaluated at latest values of x, and then it needs to be factorized or inversed as shown over here, and then it has to be multiplied with minus 1 plus nd cross 1 vector, which is f of x, and that's how x can be obtained. So in terms of computational effort involved, unlike in Gauss-Seidel method, in Newton-Raphson update equation, for a given large bus power network, let's say we have a 1000 bus power network, or let's say if n, capital N becomes 1000, you can imagine the order of Jacobian matrix of what it would be. It would definitely be of the order of more than 10,000, and it is a square matrix also. So it would have almost more than 1000 multiplied more than 1000 terms. So essentially Jacobian would have close to 10 lakh elements, and you can imagine evaluation of these 10 lakh elements as and when required, and then compiling them in form of a square matrix and then factorizing this large Jacobian matrix. It's not an easy job. 5 decades, 6 decades ago, when the computational capability was very limited, this Jacobian factorization and evaluation was one of the most cumbersome exercises. Although Newton-Raphson update equation or the method in itself has faster convergence, but because of this exercise involved in factorization, 50, 60 years ago, actual implementation of Newton-Raphson method was not possible for large bus power networks. And that is where, and that is essentially the history behind why fast decoupled or decoupled method came into existence, wherein the inventors or the authors of or the proposers of this method, thanks to Alsac and Stott, they were two different individuals, a pair of PhD student and his supervisor. They, through engineering judgment, tried to figure out that is there a way possible wherein the Jacobian factorization can be completely avoided in every iteration of Newton-Raphson. And through engineering analysis, they were able to achieve so. And that is the reason why fast decoupled method is still used in industry and not the Newton-Raphson method. Although with time, computational capability has increased and enhanced, but the industry grade power flow solvers, they are still dependent on the constant Jacobian based decoupled or fast decoupled methods. More details on this would come when we discuss fast decoupled and decoupled techniques in detail. But for time being, I will come back to our important point of discussion, that is handling Q limits or handling PV to PQ switchings in Newton-Raphson update equations. Since in Newton-Raphson update equation or Newton-Raphson power flow analysis, reactive power equations, they don't exist for PV buses, but then we'll also have to check whether PV bus remains a PV bus. The process is more or less similar to what we did for PV-PQ checks in Gauss-Seidel method. At the latest available solution of voltages, we try to find the corresponding reactive power injection at every PV bus. If there is a load present at the PV bus, we add it to the injection and then find the corresponding generation at the corresponding PV bus. If this generation is within its minimum and maximum limits, nothing absolutely needs to be done. The bus remains as a PV bus, and the rest of the Newton-Raphson polar power flow equation discussion, it follows. There is no change involved. In case QGI is not within these limits, then it's time that this PV bus has to switch to a PQ bus with known reactive power injection. This known reactive power injection is based on whatever corresponding generation limit the generator is trying to violate or exceed. Based on that, if QGI is trying to violate the lower limit, it is set at the lower value. If it is trying to violate the upper limit, it is set at the upper value. And with the set value of QGI and the known demand, Q essentially becomes fixed now. If Q becomes fixed, that means in Newton-Raphson power flow equation, f of x will have an additional equation, and that's the reason why dimension of Jacobian matrix increases by 1. If function increases, the corresponding x will also have to increase. The new x is essentially the voltage magnitude of this PV to PQ transformed bus. Having said this, the Jacobian matrix dimension increases, so Jacobian evaluation process remains the same. For every such PV to PQ converted bus in every iteration, a check always has to be made that can this converted PV to PQ bus go back to its PV status. If it is already PV, the check is made whether its generation limits is reactive power generation limit is within minimum and maximum value. If it has already converted to PQ bus, the check is made again whether its reactive power generation can come within the minimum and maximum limit. So how is that made? The first thing for every PV bus is that its voltage magnitude has to be fixed and fixed to the specified value. So for every such converted PV to PQ bus, we reset the voltage magnitude to the actual specified PV bus voltage magnitude, while all other X, that is the phase angles and other voltage phasors, they remain the same. With this new voltage magnitude and other X's remaining unchanged as they are at the latest iteration, we find the corresponding generation through a similar process. In order to find the generation, we have to find the injection first, add it to the demand, and then we find QGI. If QGI is within its limit, the converted PV to PQ bus retains back its PV status. With this, the Jacobian matrix dimension decreases by 1. The voltage magnitude of PV bus is no more a variable. It is not part of X now, and hence F in the f of X dimension also decreases. Its Q equation for the PV bus, which was present for when it was a PQ bus, that is also removed. The voltage magnitude of PV bus is reset to the voltage magnitude to its specified value, and as a result of which f of X and X, both these vectors, their dimension goes down by 1, because of which the dimension of overall Jacobian matrix also goes down by 1. So essentially, in every PV to PQ switching and PQ to PV switching, the Jacobian dimension changes, its size changes, and that's how Newton-Raphson update equations follow. At times, it is an inconvenience from the operator's perspective or from the mathematics perspective, but so far there hasn't been any sort of rigorous mechanism or method through which the Jacobian dimension, the Jacobian matrix dimension can remain unchanged, although there have been some research works which talk about masking of the Jacobian matrix specifically for PV to PQ and PQ to PV switching, but it is still not generalized, and for real power bus networks, Newton-Raphson update still has this tricky problem of Jacobian dimensions changing, PV to PQ and PQ to PV switchings happening often. So with that, if I have to understand what is the convergence pattern of a generic Newton-Raphson method, irrespective of whether voltages are in polar coordinates or rectangular coordinates, I'll take the case of a single variable function and single polynomial function. The same discussion that I'll do will be applicable for multivariable functions also. Through the Newton-Raphson method, our objective is to find x for which f of x is 0, for which we use this Taylor series expansion. We ignore the higher order terms based on the good choice of the initial estimate, and eventually we get this as our update equation in Newton-Raphson method, which can again be rewritten in this particular form. Now, in order to understand the convergence pattern of Newton-Raphson update equation, I'll follow the same terminology that I did in Gauss-Seidel method. That is, I'll define the error in kth plus 1 iteration to be x minus xk plus 1, where x is the actual x for which f of x should be 0, and I don't know that value of x yet. But in every iteration, I know what is xk and corresponding xk plus 1. Similarly, I will define the error in the kth iteration to be x minus x of k. With this as my definition, if I now shift my focus to the Taylor series expansion that I have obtained here and substitute f of xk in terms of this right hand side representation, then what do I get? I get f prime xk x minus xk, which is the same term which is present over here that I have written first, plus I am substituting f of xk with this RHS term. Here I have f prime xk multiplied by xk minus xk plus 1, followed by the other higher order terms, which is f double prime xk divided by 2 factorial into x minus xk square, followed by other terms, and this is close to 0 as per Taylor series expansion. Now, if I merge these two expressions, because f prime xk is common, I get x minus xk plus 1 into f prime xk. F prime xk is a known quantity, it is not an unknown. It is equal to minus f double prime xk, which is again a known quantity provided double derivative of f exists, into x minus xk square followed by other terms. Having defined my error terms, if I put them, which is this term and this term, what I get, ek plus 1 is actually equal to 1 by f prime xk multiplied by minus sign outside f double prime xk by 2 factorial into ek square followed by other terms. Even if these other terms exist or they don't exist, the first clear-cut indication is ek plus 1 is some function of ek square, which means so capital K here is all those known terms. What do we see here? In this case, the next iteration error is actually square of the error in the previous iteration. So, if our initial choice is good, Newton-Raphson update equations in the current iteration, if the error starts going down, that means the error, if it is less than 1, square of a number which is less than 1 will be further less than 1, it will be closer to 0. So, this would indicate that if the error goes down in the current iteration, the next iteration error would furthermore go down. And that is why Newton-Raphson method is called to have quadratic convergence because of this second order term, which in a way reflects the point that Newton-Raphson method has faster convergence rate compared to linear Gauss-Seidel based method. We will see or verify that through this next numeric example. The case study or the test data network is exactly the same 3-bus network that we chose or discussed for Gauss-Seidel method. We have a 3-bus network numbered from buses 1, 2 and 3. Bus 1 is a slack bus, bus 2 is a PQ bus, bus 3 is a PV bus. For slack bus, 1 pu is the voltage magnitude. For the PQ bus, load is specified. For the PV bus number 3, voltage is specified and generation values are specified with corresponding limits of Qg being -1 and 1 pu. We start with the initial choice of flat start for voltage phasors, that is voltage phase angles and magnitudes, and we will see how one iteration of Newton-Raphson method goes on. So, we find the corresponding bus admittance matrix. The next point basically summarizes the data sheet that is available. The unknowns are the phase angles of bus 2 and bus 3 and the voltage magnitude of the only PQ bus, which is bus number 2. Corresponding to this x, actually this x is not a scalar, it should be bold face x. Corresponding to this x, the corresponding function f of x, this will also be a function bold f of x. If x is a 3 cross 1 vector, f of x is also a 3 cross 1 vector, where first two equations correspond to real power equations of the PQ and PV buses, and the last equation is Q equation of the only PQ bus. The demands or injections, they are specified, and that's how the corresponding equations are written over here. With flat start of voltages, The corresponding expressions of P2, P3, Qt, they can be written. The unknowns are V2, theta 2 and theta 3. V3 is a specified value of 1.05 per unit and V1 is 1, theta 1 is 0. So, the corresponding reactive power injection equation of bus 3 is also mentioned in terms of the given data bus network. We start with the flat start of voltages, and at this flat start of voltages, if we plug in these values of x0, we get that P2 and P3 are 0, whereas Q2 is non-zero, it is minus 0.25, and Q3 0 is 0.93975. This Q30, there is no other load at bus number 3, so this injection is acceptable for bus 3 to remain a PV bus, the limits being minus 1 to 1. So, bus 3 remains a PV bus and B3 is still 1.05 per unit. Switching of PV to PQ is not necessary in the first iteration of Newton-Raphson update. Whereas in the recursion of Gauss-Seidel method, we saw that the update or change of PV to PQ status was essential. So, with known P2, P3, Q2, we get f of x. Once we know what is f of x0, we then find the corresponding Jacobian elements. Since f is 3 cross 1, x is 3 cross 1, Jacobian will also be a 3 cross 3 matrix. That means it would have 9 elements. Those 9 elements, starting from the first 1, 1, 2 element, they have been written over here. Please verify them. The other 2 elements are also mentioned here. I think, yes, so all elements are written over here. All 9 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all elements are present over here. We evaluate these elements, arrange these elements in the Jacobian form, get this Jacobian matrix value, which is 3 cross 3, f of x is known. We use the update equation as defined. All equations here or variables should be bold-face variables. I am sorry for the mathematical inconsistency. They are bold-face variables. They are vectors actually. So, with this we get x1, which is the first iterative update of x. What is this x1? This x1 is actually theta 2 1. x1 second element is theta 3 1 and the last element is V2 1, and that is where we get V2 as 0.91542 at an angle minus 0.072 degrees radian, and similarly V3 is it remains as a PV bus, so 1.05 is specified. The next value is the same angle as that been obtained here. We continue doing this, and at the end we see that the Newton-Raphson update converges in just 4 iterations compared to 19 recursions of Gauss-Seidel method involved, with the final solution as shown over here. This final solution is the exact same solution that we obtained in Gauss-Seidel method also after 19 recursions. There is no change in the final solution, but the observation is bus 3 doesn't remain a PV bus even at the final iteration, which was also true in the case of Gauss-Seidel method. With that, I conclude this discussion and I look forward to discussion on Newton-Raphson method applicable for voltages when they are mentioned in rectangular coordinates. Special care has to be taken when voltages are in rectangular coordinates, and that is where the Jacobian dimensions also change, the function representations change, the unknowns x also changes. We will see all that in detail in the next discussion, and we will also have an example on how Newton-Raphson method works when voltages are in rectangular coordinates. With that, I conclude this discussion. Thank you so much.